Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. She barely looked up when I came in. Purse on the counter, coat still on. She just scrolled like I was noise. No hello. No, how was your day? Not even the quick half hug we've had since year 2. Just her thumb moving. Evening to you too, I said, setting my laptop bag down. Hey, she tossed back, eyes on the screen. That the new greeting? I'm finishing something. Uh-huh. She moved past me to the sink, rinsed a glass like it had done something wrong, then disappeared down the hall with her phone still in hand. I stood there in the kitchen with 2 leftover containers and the cold air from the front door still on my back. I didn't know it yet, but that was the last regular Tuesday of our marriage. If I'd known where it was headed, I'd have eaten the reheated chicken, turned off the lights, and saved my breath. But I'm not the guy who goes quiet and waits to be explained. I followed her to the bedroom. She was fishing a sweater out of a drawer. Can we talk for 5 minutes? I asked. We're fine, she answered before I finished. That's not the question. She gave me a dry smile. You always need to make a meeting. I live here. I don't schedule access to my own house. Jake, I'm tired, she said, pulling the sweater on. Long day. Can we not do a thing? What's the thing? A normal conversation? She sighed like a yoga instructor. You're overthinking. It's a phase. Work, deadlines, my sister keeps calling. Your sister? Everything okay? It's always drama with her. I'm the only one who listens. Right. And when I ask for 5 minutes, I get a weather report. She put on earrings, checked her face in the mirror, smudged a line, and finally looked at me. I'll make it up to you. Not tonight. That line's been on repeat. I'm meeting friends, she said, grabbing her clutch. Which friends? She blinked at me, offended that I asked, like I demanded her blood type. You know, people, she said. From the gym. Names help. You don't know them. Then teach me. She exhaled with a small laugh. You're not serious. I am. Text me who you're with. That's basic. Why are you being controlling? There it is. I replied, and I was calmer than I sounded. Asking for normal is control. Got it. I'll be back late, she said, and the door clicked behind her before I decided if I cared. I poured myself water and watched the level rise notch by notch. It felt like a clock. That night, I slept on my side of the bed with a canyon between us when she came back at 1:12 a.m. She lay down like a visitor. Next day, I called an old friend, Rob. He runs a garage and talks like an honest receipt. You sound tight, he said when I dropped by for an oil change I didn't need. She's different, I told him, leaning on the counter. Cold, then practical, then out. You two always ran hot and cool. This isn't cool. This is switched off. He wiped his hands. You want a reading? You stopped giving discounts. Meaning, you're first in, last out. She knows it. Change the schedule on her. If it's nothing, fine. If it's something, it pops. I don't outsource my life to a pep talk, but that landed. So I started with small, adult boundaries, the kind that change the air without raising the voice. First, I set a hard rule for evenings. I'm cooking at 6. If you're eating, great. If not, I pack it and move on. No debates. I said it while I chopped onions, like a weather report. She glanced at her phone. So now there's a dinner curfew? There's a dinner plan. Respecting a plan is free. She rolled her eyes and went back to tapping. Second, I split the shared calendar, workouts, errands, social things. Everything goes on it, or I ignore it. I put that in writing in a note on the fridge. Adult house, adult rules. Third, I cut out the mandatory couple nights with friends where I was a prop. If it wasn't on the calendar and if we weren't aligned, I'd spend my time differently. I took a woodworking class 1 night a week. I booked a fishing morning with Rob. I replaced "Are we okay?" with "Here's my schedule." That's when she shifted gears. One night, late, she slid a plate in front of me. Chicken, roasted peppers. She put her phone face down. I made your favorite, she said. I looked at the plate, then at her. This a peace offering or a bribe? Maybe I just care. You can care at 6, I said, not unkindly. I appreciate the effort. You're welcome, she said, too sweet. Can we reset? I'm sorry I've been unavailable. I nodded. Thank you for saying it. Work is heavy. I come home drained, and you want to plug in. I want my wife. I'm right here. For an hour, I said. Then you disappear. It's not like that, she said gently. You're making it bigger. Am I? She touched my wrist. Let's not make a ledger out of this. I've already balanced it, I told her. Dinner at 6. Calendar updates. Weeknights past 11 are a no. A no, she repeated. You don't control when I come home. I control whether that works for me. You asked for a reset. These are my terms. She held my eyes for a beat. You're serious. I'm not joking. Fine, she said, smiling small. We'll try your rules. She took one bite of the chicken, then excused herself to call her friend from the gym. The phone went with her to the back porch. For a week, she obeyed like a kid on a chore chart. Home on time 2 nights, chatty the third. She asked about my workshop project and even handed me a clamp. I felt the knot in my chest loosen half an inch. Midway through dinner one night, she put her hand on mine. I miss us, she said. Which version? I asked. The one where we laughed. It's still available, I said, and I meant it. Her smile warmed me, and for one night, I let myself think we'd ride this out. Then Saturday came. We went to a friend's backyard gathering, Brian and Tessa, the couple who run with 6 kids and a giant grill. Our people. By the time I brought drinks over, she was already orbiting a group of guys from Brian's office, head tilted, that polite laugh that's all teeth. I stood next to her, handed her a drink. She took it without looking. Thanks. Who are we meeting? I asked friendly. She gestured vaguely. Everyone. Names help, I said softly. One of the guys jumped in. I'm Kyle. I shook his hand. Jake. She glanced at me, eyes narrow. Go talk to Brian, she said under her breath. I'll move when I'm ready. She smiled for the group. Jake gets possessive at parties, she joked. I get intentional. I corrected, still friendly. You disappear, I come find my wife. Kyle pretended to study the grill smoke. Tessa caught my eye and mouthed. You good? I gave her a shrug. My wife excused herself to check the kitchen and was gone 20 minutes. When she returned, she carried an empty plate and a different laugh. We left early because I decided it, not because there was a scene. In the car, she fastened her seat belt like a courtroom gesture. You embarrassed me, she started. How? By existing 3 feet away from you. You hovered. I stood with you for 10 minutes at a party we came to together. You don't trust me. I don't trust fog, I said. Clarity gets trust. Stop with the lines, she snapped. You act like I'm doing something wrong because I talk to people. You act like I'm a coat you can check and pick up later. Pick a version. She looked out the window. I don't like your new rules. I do. She was quiet until we turned into our street. I'm staying at Emily's tonight, she said. We need space. Fine, I said, and pulled into the driveway. Take your time. She grabbed a bag she'd somehow already packed. They think we don't notice, and left without touching me. I sat with the engine off and made a decision. No more recon by feelings. I needed facts. Monday at lunch, I hired a private investigator. Not because I wanted a thrill, because I respect my time. I told him I didn't want gossip. I wanted places, times, and who. Discretion is standard, he said. He looked at his clipboard like it had answers. You'll hear from me. 2 nights later, my wife came home at 12:40 a.m. I was up, not waiting, working through invoices at the kitchen table. She smelled like some expensive candle. She leaned in the doorway. You're still up? Some of us keep lights on, I said. She poured water and leaned on the counter like a podcast host. I've been thinking. Don't hurt yourself, I said deadpan. I know you set rules because you're hurt. I get it. But you're pushing me away. How late nights push a marriage closer is a mystery. She softened her voice. I made a reservation for Saturday. Your favorite place. Let me spoil you. That place is fine, I said neutral. Her shoulders lowered. Good. I'll handle everything. Just don't be mad at me for trying to have a life. I don't get mad at life. I get selective with access. Saturday at 7. She stepped toward me. Can we reset? You said that last week. This time I mean it. We'll see, I said, and that was the truth. That was her first full-court charm after my boundaries. I wasn't buying the perfume. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. Friday night, I got the text. The investigator sent a photo. My wife at a table in a restaurant, laced fingers with a man across from her, shoulders leaned in. The man was familiar in the way a headache is familiar. Tall, neat, wedding band. My brother-in-law, Emily's husband. My head didn't explode. It clicked. The schedule, the porch calls, the missing names, her sudden interest in checking on Emily. The neatness. It was a system. He followed the photo with time stamps, a list of locations, and neutral language that said everything. I stared at the screen until the numbers stopped meaning numbers. I poured a glass of water, put it back, and sat at the table. I was angry without heat. It was the kind of anger that puts everything on rails. While I sat there was a knock at the door. Soft, then urgent. I opened it expecting my wife. Emily stood there, hair pulled back, no coat, shaking. "Jake," she blurted. "I know it's late, but..." I stepped aside. "Come in." She stepped in and fumbled with her phone. "Your wife is seeing my husband," she said, voice thin. "I followed him tonight. I took pictures so you'd..." I held up a hand. "I believe you." She blinked. "You do? I got the same photos an hour ago from a professional." She let out a breath that turned into a laugh that didn't know where to go. "Of course you did. You're efficient. That's one word." She sat at the table and slid her phone across. "Evidence. Same angles, different grain." Her hands adjusted a coaster on instinct. "I suspected for months," she said. "He kept working late. Then my sister started dodging calls. Tonight I got a sitter, waited outside the gym, and followed him. They were holding hands like teenagers. "I'm sorry. You didn't do it," I said. She looked up. "I have an idea. Go. We tell everyone at once. Family, close friends. No private spin, no timeline drifting. If you're in, we coordinate. No yelling. Just facts." I felt my mouth tilt. "I'm in." "You're calm," she said. I expected a knife. "I don't do theater. I do outcomes." She wiped her eyes. "We'll need to file first thing in the morning. Clean. Then set a date where they think they're safe. When they're performing, we exit." "Works for me," I said. We mapped it on paper towels. Logistics. Rings of people. What to say, what not to say. We kept it adult. Next morning, we met a lawyer at 9. We didn't overshare. We provided documents and hinted at the plan. "Given what you've shown me," the lawyer said, weighing words, "this should be straightforward." We signed, scheduled, and walked out into mid-morning sun like two people leaving a dentist, numb but relieved. That afternoon, Emily texted, "You okay?" I replied, "Functional." She sent a coffee emoji and then, "Meet me at the park?" We did. Then the next day, and the day after. It turned from strategy sessions into walks that weren't about anything but breath and decent company. She had a dry wit I'd missed under the family noise. "You always were the quiet one," she said on day 3, watching a dog dig a hole. I wasn't quiet. I was trying to be respectful in a room full of commentary. "I thought you were standoffish," she said, then smiled sideways. "Turns out you're just selective." "Selective's cheaper than therapy," I deadpanned. She laughed. "Don't get smug." We didn't talk about the photos unless we had to. We talked about normal things, her design job, my contracts, the ridiculous neighbor who power washed his driveway at dawn. It was simple and almost easy, and I kept a line in my head. We are allies, don't overstep. But I noticed things, how she listened, how she teased, how her shoulders dropped when she felt safe. I kept those observations where they belonged, in my pocket. 5 days after we filed, the calendar flipped to our 6th anniversary. My wife woke up with purpose. Coffee appeared. A neat stack of pancakes. The good plates came out. "Happy anniversary, babe," she said, light voice. "Morning," I replied. "I took the day off," she went on. "Thought we could do brunch, then a late lunch with family and friends. Keep it easy. Full day." "I want to celebrate us," she said with eyes that had suddenly remembered their job. "I know things have been weird, but I've been thinking about what matters." "Have you?" I said, not unkind. "That useful?" "I'm trying." "I see the effort," I said, and I did. Every motion was careful, like she was frosting a cracked cake. By 10, she had the house smelling like hospitality. She touched my shoulder when she passed me, refilled my coffee, laughed at things that weren't jokes. Her phone stayed on the counter, face up, as if it had always lived there. "It's nice," she said at noon, leaning against the island. "Feels normal." "It feels staged," I replied, and watched that land. She smiled wider, like she could outrun my eyes. People started trickling in by one. Rob arrived with his wife and a tray of something cheesy. Tessa hugged me like a sister. My wife's parents came with flowers. Then Emily walked in with her husband, who made a big show of shaking my hand. "Jake," he said, patting my shoulder. "Looking good, man." "Feeling steady," I answered. Emily gave me a small nod over his shoulder. We kept our distance and our plan. The house filled with voices. Someone put on soft music. My wife moved through the room like a hostess on a magazine cover, putting hands on shoulders, answering questions with kindness. If you didn't know better, you'd think we were a portrait. I knew better. We sat down for the late lunch at 3. There were toasts. Her dad spoke about commitment. Rob cracked a joke about me pretending to like fishing. People clinked glasses and wiped eyes. My wife watched me with that smile that had nothing behind it. When it was my turn, I stood with my glass, walked a little to get my words. I looked around at the people who mattered. I could feel Emily's eyes on me like a hand on my back. I met her at a cookout. I started, and folks leaned in. She ignored me for 2 months, which is fair because I thought I was charming. Soft laughter. Then one night, she asked me what I was reading. I lied and said something impressive. I went on. More laughs. We built a life. We did it the American way. Work, house, holidays, simple jokes that somehow last. I love that. I still do. I stepped away from my chair, glass in hand, pacing the edge of the big table. "I've learned something in 6 years," I said. "Love without respect turns into theater. And theater is expensive." My wife shifted in her seat, still smiling. "I'm not a performer," I added. "I like simple. I like clean. I like facts." I reached into the sideboard where I'd tucked 2 large envelopes that looked like gifts. I set one in front of my wife. The paper was neat. The ribbon was straight. "This is for you," I said. She glanced down, then up. "What is it?" "A new start," I answered, and I meant it. She slid her finger under the tape, opened the folder, and the first page with the heading stared back at her. The room went quiet the way rooms go quiet when someone drops a tray. She stared, then looked up at me, and in that half second, she reached for a smile and couldn't find one. I walked around the table to Emily, put the second folder in front of her. She stood without me having to ask, took out her copy, and, with a steady voice, addressed the table. "I need to say something," she began. "I followed my husband this week. He's been meeting with someone. It's not a misunderstanding. I have timestamps and photos, only what's necessary." Her husband's chair scraped. "Are you serious right now?" "Very," she said, and passed the printed photos to the nearest corner of the table. My wife's mother made a sound like she'd stood on a nail. Her father went pale. My wife went glassy, then red. She looked at me. "This is a mistake," she said. "No," I answered. "It's a boundary." Her husband stood. "Emily, you're out of line." I turned to him. "You should leave," I said. "If you want a ride, take my wife with you. Emily is with me right now." That line broke the air. There was a beat, then a burst of voices. Rob's wife covered her mouth. Tessa put a hand on my arm. My wife's parents started talking at once, asking when and how and why. My wife looked at me with tears that were more shocked than sad. "Jake, please." Emily leaned in and hugged me briefly, eyes on the floor. Into my ear, she whispered, "Nice line. New woman. Bull." I tipped my head and answered, barely moving my lips, hoping it's not just theater. She felt that in her shoulders and pulled back with a small smile that wasn't for the room. Her husband tried to talk over the table. "This is a setup," he said, hands out. "Sit down." I told him, not loud, just final. "Or get out. You made your choices. We're making ours." He failed to stare down, grabbed his jacket, and walked out, leaving the door open like a punctuation mark. My wife's parents turned on her with sharp, scared voices. "We didn't raise you like this," her mother said to her, and then to me. "We're sorry, Jake. We're." "She's an adult," I said. "You don't owe me anything." My wife was crying, hands in her lap, eyes on the folder she tried to close like that would help. "Please, we can fix this," she tried. "We can try counseling. Don't blow this up at our table." "It was blown up weeks ago," I replied. "We're just stopping the play." "Jake," she said, softer, the voice she used when she wanted a favor. "Please." I shook my head once. "You've got 30 minutes to pack what you need," I said, evenly. "Your parents will take you to their place. This afternoon isn't for you." "Are you serious?" She threw back with some spine. Completely, I said. I don't share rooms with lies. The room held its breath. She looked around for allies and found none. She stood, still crying, and her parents stood with her. We're going, her father said to me, eyes apologetic. I'm sorry, son. It's done, I said. No hard feelings to you. They left with a shuffle of bags and murmurs. The door closed. The room slowly unblocked. The noise returned, but it was a different noise. People muttered about photos, about nerves, about guts. Rob clapped me once on the shoulder like he was approving a finished job. I raised my glass again. For those who want to stay, I said, the anniversary party is canceled, but the new event is better. We're celebrating 2 clean exits. Half the room laughed out of relief. Tessa raised her glass. To clarity, she said. To clarity, I echoed. We didn't turn it into a circus. We ate. We had cake, because it was there. We let people say the things they needed to say. I made sure not to make Emily a prop. We kept distance in public. She helped in the kitchen, rinsed plates, talked quietly to Tessa, and ignored her phone. At one point, she came over. You okay? She asked. I'm good, I answered. You didn't warn me about the my woman part, she teased low. Improvisation, I said. Careful, she said. I might get used to your voice calling shots. You're safe here, I told her. When the last friend left and the dishwasher hummed like a steady breath, we stood in the quiet. I'm not going home, she said without looking at me. I can't walk into that. Stay, I replied. Guest room is made. I won't be weird. You're already weird, she said, smiling, and carried her overnight bag down the hall. In the morning, I woke to the smell of bacon and coffee that wasn't burned. I walked in and she was at the stove, hair up, calm. Breakfast is on me, she said. Dinner's on you. Somewhere with cloth napkins. Done, I replied. She plated eggs like she'd done it 1,000 times and sat across from me. How are you really? Lighter, I said, angry in the past tense. Me too. We ate without rushing. After, she grabbed her bag. I need to meet a client, she said. Text me later. I will, I answered, and watched the door close behind her. I didn't chase her. I didn't explain. I cleaned the kitchen and threw the last of the bouquets in the trash. Over the next week, we saw each other daily. No heavy talks. Walks, a movie, pizza at the counter. We learned each other like normal people, not like family gatherings. I found out she hates cilantro, loves road maps, and grades coffee shops on chair comfort. She learned that I like early mornings, hate small talk that pretends, and plan weekends like chess. Why didn't we hang out before? She asked one night. Feet on my coffee table, eyes on the ceiling. Because we were both busy pretending our houses were in order, I said. Fair. We kept it simple. I didn't touch her without a reason. She didn't push. We were 2 adults moving towards something that felt earned. On my side, I closed the loops. I changed the locks by dinner that same day because it was my signature on the mortgage and I didn't believe in surprises. I moved my wife's clothes to labeled boxes and texted her the pickup times available. I called the phone plan and took her line off my account at the end of the billing cycle. No drama, just a clean ledger. I emailed her a list of the remaining items in the house that were hers and set a calm deadline. Her replies were practical and late. I'll swing by Saturday with my dad, she wrote. Please leave the jewelry in the small box. It's cataloged, I answered. You'll sign for it. Do we have to be this formal? Yes, I wrote. We do. I know people who try to win by unlocking a heart. I win by closing a door gently and locking it on my side. On the 7th day, I took Emily to dinner. Cloth napkins and a quiet corner. The server nodded like he recognized calm when he saw it. We ate the kind of meal that doesn't need commentary. After, we walked to the car. She stopped on the sidewalk. Jake, she said, just my name, not a speech. Yeah. Are we doing this? She asked, not coy, not shy. For real, I mean. I don't do almost, I told her. We can move slow, but I'm not auditioning. She took that in. Good, she said. I'm too old to pretend. I'll take that as a yes. It is. I rested my hand on her back as we crossed the street. It wasn't a claim. It was an answer. 2 months later, I signed the final papers in a quiet office. My ex signed hers the week before, eyes on the desk, hands steady. There were no last pleas. She asked for half the house equity and her car, and I gave her the fair numbers. I didn't fight over furniture or a blender. Respect wasn't in those things. She still sends a message every few weeks at odd hours. I'm sorry for how it ended. You were always good to me. I miss the holidays. I don't answer. Not from spite. Because the conversation ended at that table when the ribbon came off the folder. She wanted quiet exits and private edits. I gave her a clean, public truth and a door that shuts. My life now is simple the way I like simple. I rebuilt the deck with my hands and a weekend playlist. I bought a truck that hauls instead of impresses. My shop is full of cedar and sawdust, not apology. Work is steady. I took on bigger contracts because I have the bandwidth to think instead of debate. Rob and I fish twice a month. Tessa still sends me photos of kids with barbecue sauce on their faces. Emily and I are slow and certain. We see each other most nights. Some evenings we cook, some we don't. We take a drive on Sundays with no destination because we can. We go to friends' houses and stay together in the same conversation because we want to be in it. She keeps a small drawer at my place now. The top of it has a folded note she wrote. No theater. Her ex moved into a small apartment across town. He sent her a list of reasons. She sent him a photo of a notary stamp. My ex is living with her parents for now. To get back on her feet, people say. I hope she figures out who she is when there's no audience. That's not my problem anymore. When people ask what happened, I tell them the truth without fireworks. We stopped treating respect like an add-on. I say, when it went, I left. They either nod or they don't. Either way, I sleep fine. What stays with me from that last day isn't the folder or the gasps. It's the weight that lifted when I said, you have 30 minutes. Not anger, not victory. Just a man making a call he should have made sooner. If someone tries to spin it into tragedy, I correct them. It's a course correction. She taught me how far I'll stomach fog. I taught her what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. She lost the comfort she took for granted. I lost the quiet that kept me blind. We both got what we deserved. And when I lock the shop at night and see Emily's taillights turning into my driveway, I don't think about what I lost. I think about the simple rule that saved me. If respect leaves, I go with it. Nothing dramatic. Just practical. Just final. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.